Another black and black white, please.
This is Calvin Castine. It's the 14th day of May, 2004, Friday evening. We're at the Bowl Mart Lanes, beautiful, just outside of beautiful downtown or Rouse's Point. Cindy Friend is going the first ball of the Queen of the Hill finals here. The playoff series. Cindy Friend finished in 4th place in the bowl-off annual Queen of the Hill event here at the Bowl Mart. Sue Quilliam finished number 5. And we'll give you the 5 finishers here in a moment. His friend got a strike to start. Quilliam picks up, it looks like 5 pins on her first ball. Quilliam in the 3 games just completed bowled a 617 with handicap. Friend bowled a 638. Barely beat out by Missy Harriman, formerly Missy Bosley, with a 639. And Quilliam's going to get 6 for the first frame. Millie LaFave finished in 2nd place with a 662, and the top placer in this annual Queen of the Hill qualifying match was Mean Jean the Bean, Beaner Roberts, with a 675. Quilliam carries a 42 handicap, Friend a 65, so Quilliam is spotting Friend 23 pins. Gets 9 pins on her second ball. Let's see, the bottom row will tell us the score with handicap. So Friend has a 75, and she's just bowled the 1 frame so far. And Quilliam picks up the spare. Now Friend working on that strike. She'll bowl 2 frames and be back to Quilliam. Oh, split. To my untrained eye, that looks like it is probably the 4-6. She'll look to get one of them, and she does. Well, she has an open in her second frame. That's always painful after getting a strike. Gives her a 93 through the second frame. Quilliam has a 59, working on a spare. Now here's Friend's first ball in the third frame. And she gets 8 pins, leaves the 1-3. And she will pick up her spare. So she spares in the third. Gives her a 101 and gives her a 103 and a spare. Now Quilliam will bowl the 3rd and 4th frame. And she avoids the split with a late drop on the 7 pin. Has a 75. We're going for her spare. Looks like she's got it covered, and she'll pick up her spare. Well, she has marked in The second and third frame. She had an open in the first frame. And she gets 7 pins on her first ball in the fourth. Whoops. Cindy's in a hurry here. Usually in the past we've had each bowler waiting for the other one to finish. This is better for us. It moves us along here. She gets a strike. Moves it along, and we actually prefer that there. Quilliam going to have an open in the fourth. Well, friend putting the pressure on Quilliam. She's picked up her second strike. Gives her a 123 with a strike to 93. Wait a minute. Quilliam is bowling her fifth frame here, so I hope the the scoreboard should figure out what's happening. She gets a baby split. What they've done in the past is that each bowler has taken turns bowling 2 frames. Friend bowled that 1 frame, then sat down. Friend will bowl her 5th frame. And she leaves a wiggling 1 pin. Working on a strike. Gives her a 141 here in the 5th. To 102 for Quilliam, who has an open in the 5th. And Friend will just barely miss her spare. Just barely missed it. So she has a 76 scratch gives her a 141 with handicap. Quilliam a 60 scratch with a 102 the handicap. And Quilliam will pick off 7 pins. And she spares. Now Fran will bowl her 6th frame. She should actually bowl her 6th and 7th here, but that might be the first time for both of them in this playoff format. So it doesn't look like they're aware of the actual way this playoff is supposed to work out. Friend gets 5 pins on her first ball. She had an open in the 5th. There's a 146 now to 112. Quilliam working on a spare. Friend almost fell. She ends up getting 2 more pins. And it gives her a 83 scratch and a 148 with handicap. 36 pins ahead of Quilliam. Quilliam now bowling her 7th. And she got 5 pins. These are a 122 in the 7th. A doable, but certainly not easy spare to pick up. Just gonna have to send something into the 10 pin. And she ends up getting 7 for the frame. So now Fran will bowl her 7th frame. And again she leaves the 1 pin. I think she missed it last time, and it was on lane 9 when it happened, so let's see if she can pick it up this time. She had 2 opens in a row following her 2nd strike. She's going to miss it again.
Alice balls.
Getting harassed by the Bowl Mart owner. Wow. John Roberts harassing the bowler. What's this world coming to? Here's Quilliam. She's not out of this yet. 3 opens in a row for Fren has left the door open here for Quilliam. She has 9 pins, gives her a 133 right now in the 8th. Fren has a 157 through 7. Quilliam's not out of it, but she's going to have to bowl well here. She's going to pick up the spare. So she has a 134 and a spare going into the 9th. Fran has a 157. She needs to mark here to stay comfortably ahead of Quilliam. And she'll get 6 on her first ball. These are a 163 in the 8th. There's another ball to go. Quilliam has a 134, but she has a mark. She has a spare that she's working on. There's Fren, and she misses the spare. So that gives Fren a 165 through 8, or 100 scratch. Quilliam has a 134 with a 92 scratch so far. So it's not much more than the handicaps separating them at this point. Leaves a 7 pin. If she'd struck there, she would have really put the pressure on Fren. Fren has 4 opens in a row after a nice start. Quilliam picking up her spare. She needs to do this, and she does. So through 9, she has 153. Fren still in the driver's seat here, but she has to start marking. Fren gets 9 pins, and it's not the 1 pin this time, but her last 2 times in this lane 9, she has missed the 1 pin she needs for the spare. This time she will pick it up, but just barely. And that pin, I think, may have put it all but away. She is 22 pins ahead of Quilliam. If Quilliam can strike out, friend will have to bowl well in her 10th. Quilliam gets 9 in her first ball. So it gives her 171. Friend has a 175. If Quilliam marks, she'll have a 172 plus her fill ball. So 182 would appear to be her best. Her best total here. That gives her a 172. And she'll get a fill ball. Needs to get at least 3 pins, obviously, to tie at this point. And she gets 6 pins, so it gives her a 178. So friend only needs to knock down 4 pins here in the 10th frame to squeak this one out. 136 scratch and a 178 with handicap for Sue Quilliam. Friend's right down the pike, and she will pick off 8 pins. That'll give her a 191. She was working on a spare. Gives her a 118 scratch. Actually a 126. A tough split here, so I don't know if she'll pick up the spare. So she might end up here with a 127. No, a 126 if she misses the spare, but she gets just enough to advance. Gives her a 126 scratch, 136 scratch for Quilliam, but the handicap is a difference. 191 to 178, 13 pin victory for friend. She'll advance to the next round in this Queen of the Hill Bowling at the Bowl Mart 2004. Okay, the format's a little different than the way the men did it in the King of the Hill. Cindy Friend starts it off with a strike. You know, the number 3 finisher, Melissa Harriman, Missy Harriman, former Missy Bosley, back when we first started videotaping her as a high school student. Picks off 7 pins. Missy is the number 3 qualifier. She has a 43 handicap. Friend a 65 handicap. And Friend just barely behind Harriman in the qualifying rounds. Harriman finishing with a 639 to Friend's 638. So Harriman gets an open in the first frame. Next, the winner here will face Millie LaFave, and then Beaner Roberts will be waiting in the final round for whoever gets that far. Leaves the 8 pin. Harriman with the spare. Friend working on a strike. She has 75. That's right where she was in her first game here in this championship round. 62 with handicap for Harriman. Friend leaves, I believe, the 4 pin. $93 to $62 is the score. Harriman giving Friend 22 pins. And Friend's going to miss the spare. Friend leaves double wood. In the third. There's 101. Needs to hit this dead on or come in with a little bit of a hook to pick them both up. And she's gonna pick them up. Double wood is a tougher spare than it would appear to be. You gotta hit it just right or you don't get that back pin. 103 and a spare through the third. Now here's Harriman bowling in the third. Working on a spare, carrying a 62. And she leaves a nasty 4-7-10. Tough spare. Should hit the 2 on the left, but all she can do. Was hoping to pick up the spare, and she ends up getting just a 7 pin. So through 3 frames, it gives her a 77, 34 scratch. Now bowling the 4th frame. There's a reverse hook. Usually don't see that kind of a, more of a slice, I guess you would call it. The ball curves like a left-hander hook would curve, but it's a right-hander shot. And it kind of slices back, and she can't, just like a left-hander has trouble with that 7 pin, she had trouble because of her slice. So this is her a 43 and 43 handicap, so she's got an 86 through 4 frames. Now here's Friend bowling her 4th. She picks off, looks like 5 pins. She has a 113, working on a spare. She was working on a spare. Oh, left the 10 pin, left the 10 pin. Pins were bouncing around it, but nothing hit the 10 pin. So it gives her a 52 scratch, which is 9 pins better scratch than Harriman has. So with the 22 pin difference in handicap, gives her a 31 pin lead. Here she's bowling in the 5th. And her nemesis, the 1 pin spare. She missed 2 out of 3 of these in the first game of this playoff round. And she picks it up, dead on this time. So that gives her a 137, or 127. 127 through 5, working on a spare. Here's Bosley or Harriman working on an open with an 86 coming in. She's got that slice, comes back, and gets 7 pins. Stayed out of the gutter though. She was on the precipice there for a moment. This would look like an easy spare for her. Let's watch that ball slice back, and she gets 9 for the frame. 9 for the frame. Gives her a 95 through 5. Friend has a 127, so that's a 32 pin lead for Friend. Friend also is working on a spare in the 5th. Bosley gets 9 pins in her first ball in the 6th. 61 scratch. Friend has a 62 scratch through 5. Harriman needs to spare here. She picks it up easily. Daughter of Teresa Bosley, a legend in North Country bowling circles. Or so she has told me over the years. There's Cindy Friend. And she picks off 6 pins. 139. Comfortable lead, but she needs to keep marking. That double wood gutter. So she gets 9 for the 6th frame. These are a 142, 77 scratch. So through the 6, 142 to 105. Friend leading. Friend gets 8 pins in the 7th. It's an even 150. And let's see if she can pick up this spare. And she does it. Nice spare by Cindy Friend. Now Melissa Harriman. Bowling her 7th frame. She needs to mark at least. A strike would really help her cause out right here. But she gets 8 pins, leaves the 1-3. Gonna have to start picking up a couple of strikes here. She's gonna make a comeback. Picks up the spare. So it gives her a 121 through 7 to 152. So she is behind Friend with the scratch. Even without the 22 pins she's given her for the handicap difference. Strike, that's what Harriman needed. Desperately needed that strike to put a little pressure on Friend. So Friend's got to continue to mark. Keep that lead. And she strikes, responding to the pressure. Picks up her 2nd strike of the game. Gives her a 173, puts her right back in the driver's seat. And she'll bowl her 9th frame here. And she might have it won before she bowls her 10th frame. Doubles. She doubles. Started today up in, actually started today bringing videotapes to Plattsburgh for the Plattsburgh cable. Then swung over to Ellenburg. Bosley puts it in the gutter. We knew that was just a matter of time. And she was working on a strike. That really isn't as bad as it could be, except that she needed another strike there. But she can still pick up a spare here, and if she gets a 2nd ball strike, and she does. She gets the spare, but she needed that 1st ball strike because. With 1 192. I think the best she can do here is barely. Oh, there's a strike. Well, let's see. It gives her a 183. 183. If she strikes out, give her a 203. A friend would have to spare. Oh, that takes away her chance of getting that big lead. She can still force friend to bowl here in the 10th, but this will just put him in a tie, 193 to 190, to 193 to 192. She strikes 193 to 192, so actually Bosley is 1 pin ahead. If friend knocks down 1 pin, she will win because she gets that pin, plus she gets an extra pin from the strike. So all she needs to do is knock down 1 pin in the next 2 balls here, and she will win. She has won it. She knocks down 7. As I was saying, we went from Plattsburgh to Ellenburg for the Northern Adirondack FFA Dairy and Agricultural Fair. Left before the big thunderstorms. I can't imagine what they went through when those thunderstorms that came through today rumbled through there. And all those cows and horses and pigs and goats out there. There must have been a couple of tents. Must have been a lot of problems there in Ellenburg when all that happening. So we were rained out tonight, stormed out actually, for the afternoon softball or baseball game. Picks off 8 pins. Gives her a 162 scratch, 225, I guess. And a 193 and 150 over there. So friend advances. She will face Millie LaFave in the next round. Millie LaFave at the plate. She's the number 2 finisher in the qualifying round. She starts off with a split of sorts here. Looks like the 4.67. She finished with a 6.62. She has a 52 handicap. Cindy Friend with a 65 handicap, so LaFave will be giving Friend 13 pins. Mean Gene the Bean, Beaner Roberts awaits the winner. Gene Beaner Roberts awaits the winner, and LaFave puts it in the gutter. Now, Friend will bowl 2 frames. It's a little tiring for the ladies who have to bowl that first playoff round, because in order to win this, they really got to bowl a lot. They bowled 3 games to qualify, and this will be the 3rd game in the playoffs for Friend. So that's 6 games, and if she should win this one, she has to bowl a 7th game against Beaner Roberts, who had the best score of the day. So if you finish 4th or 5th, it's really an uphill struggle, and Friend misses the spare. Now she'll bowl her 2nd frame. Has only a 13 pin cushion, but I think in both of her games she hasn't needed that in both of her wins so far. I think she's won by more than the handicap in both of them. She strikes. Previous 2 games she started off with a strike. This time she waits for the second frame for her strike. Now Lefebvre has 7 pins in that first frame. So with my back to my day here, my baseball game was lighteninged out. So I got to head home early. I had just finished walking around the outside with my grandson Abe, and I'd wandered back inside and was watching Wheel of Fortune. And somebody spun the wheel and asked for a tee and got 3 tees. And Pat Sajak said, "That's a turkey." And I don't know why 3 tees are a turkey in Wheel of Fortune, but I do know that 3 strikes are a turkey here at bowling. And when he said that's a turkey, it suddenly popped into my head that I had to come down to the Bowl Mart to tape this Queen of the Hill competition. I had at that point forgotten all about it. Spare for Lefebvre. So she has 89 through the 3rd frame working on a spare. Friend has an 83 working on a strike here as she starts her 3rd frame. And she gets 5 pins in her first ball. So pressure is on her here early in the game. 37 scratch to let's see, 18 and 5, 23. She will probably be behind on the scratch. Not sure what the problem is here. The 5 pins didn't register on the scoreboard. Okay, we've discovered what the problem is. Friend was bowling on the wrong lane. So that's a break for her, really. She could pick up more than 5 pins in this ball, and she gets 9, so it's a break for her. She got only 5 at the other time, so gives her a 101 now instead of just 5 pins, and a theoretically easier spare, although these 1-pin spares have been a problem for her. But she's been picking them off lately, and she's going to pick that one off. So she is now in the groove with the 1-pin spares. Gives her a 103 through the 3rd, working on a spare. So she is 14 pins ahead of Lefebvre, so 1 pin ahead scratch and the 13-pin handicap. It's 9 pins on her first ball. Sue Quilliam finished with a 617 for 5th place in the qualifying round. Cindy Friend finished with a 638. She's going to miss the spare. Barely beaten by Melissa Harriman, who finished with a 639. Millie Lefebvre finished with a 662. And Bina Roberts with a 675. Here's Lefebvre, and she will leave the 10-pin, leaves the 10-pin. With Friend getting that open in the 4th, that was an opportunity for Lefebvre to strike and jump into the lead. for her spare. She's going to put it in the gutter. Puts it in the gutter. Scratch-wise, I think she's ahead of. There was a strike for LaFave. I think scratch-wise, she was ahead also here. 55, 56. Now she was one pin behind scratch-wise. But now with that strike, she's in position to jump in front of Friend if Friend doesn't at least mark here. And Friend gets 9 pins in her first ball in the 5th. So Friend with a 121 through the 4th and a 130 here with her first ball in the 5th. Needs to pick up the mark, and she will get the spare. So that gives her a 131. 14 pin lead going into the 6th frame. But that 14 pins is deceiving because LaFave is working on a strike as opposed to the spare. So Friend needs to continue to mark. She could use a strike. She's not going to get it there. She's going to get 6 pins. So that gives her a 137 through the 5th frame. And a 143 here. And a doable, but not easy. Not particularly easy, but certainly doable spare. Has to worry about that 8 pin in the back. She got it. Knocked down that little picket fence and got the 8 pin to boot. She needed that to keep the pressure on here. If LaFave can double, she'll be sitting pretty here. It'll be almost dead even, but she's not going to double. These are 7 pins. So right now it's 124 on whatever she gets on this next ball through the 5th frame. And she will miss the front pin. That gives her a 126 through 5. A 135 through 6. She needed that strike. She needed that strike to get back on track. So a 145 now and a strike. Friend has a 143 going into the 7th. So she needs to keep marking. Looks like, I don't know, maybe the 3. 3, 4, 6. I don't know what that is. No, not the 4, 6. Obviously 3, 5, 6. Friend needs to mark, and she does that. Gets it open through 7 frames. 97 scratch. 162 to 145, but LaFave has a strike in the 7th. So it's dead even. Strike for Friend. However, if LaFave can double, she doubles, she will really be putting some pressure on here, but she doesn't double. She has 7 pins, she has double wood and the 10 pin. Well, she has to come in on the right of that pin. She does. Oh, it carried over just enough, and it didn't come back off the 10 pin to get the 9. $163 through 8. She is in a situation here where she really needs a strike, but nothing less than a mark. She needs a strike badly, and she gets it. That keeps her hopes alive. 173, working on a strike. 172 through 8, working on a strike. So Morrison Friend's still in the driver's seat. She gets 9 pins and that 1 pin spare she's had some trouble with on occasion. She can spare here. Needs to spare, and she picks it up. Just nipping it, but just enough to get that spare. 192 to 173. A strike here, and she could. Oops. That's her first ball in the 10th. So it's a 195, and 3 is a 198. I think if she can get a spare here, she will clinch it. Because, well, no, she has left the door wide open for LaFave. Getting just 3 pins in the 10th, a 133 scratch, 195, 198, 198. LaFave's with a 173, working on a strike. If she strikes here, she will be almost a sure thing to win it. She gets 7 pins. Got to beat a 198. She's got a 187. She gets these 3 down and give her a spare. Give her a 193 and a fill ball. She needs the spare here, obviously. She will spare. So it's going to come down to this final ball. She has a 193 to a 198. 5 pins with tie. 6 pins will win. She'll advance to face Bina Roberts. And she will advance to face Bina Roberts with 8 pins. Give her a 201. Friend with that 3 in the 10th finishes with a 198. 3-pin victory for LaFave. And all Friend had to do was spare in the 10th, and she would have wrapped it up. Next up, it's Mean Gene the Beans against Millie LaFave. Okay, here's Gene the Bean, Bina Roberts. top bowler today. She's been knocking them down with strikes on the practice rounds, and all of a sudden she gets 9 in her first ball.
Must have said you didn't cheer for that for me.
Wiener finished with a 675. She has a 36 pin handicap. Lefebvre with a 662 for the day. She has a 52 handicap, so Roberts giving Lefebvre 16 pins.
That was cool, son.
Roberts with the spare. Here's Lefebvre. She gets 7 pins on her first ball.
Andy, you say go, Mom.
Why do you say that? Come on, Millie. Why do you say that?
And there's a spare. So both bowlers spare, and the difference right now is the handicap difference, 16 pins. Lefebvre will bowl her second frame, and she will leave the 10 pin. Going for a spare, and she will miss the spare. Leaves the 10. Now Robert steps in. And she will pick off 8 pins. 8 pins. There's 62 at this point. And she will miss. Oh, she picks up the spare. Picks up the spare. A round of applause from the gallery. And a strike. Strike for Bina Roberts. There's an 84 through the third frame. Lefebvre has an 80 through the second frame, but she's working on an open, so we're in a dead heat here, really. Roberts with a strike. Lefebvre has to mark, and she does with a strike. Here's Lefebvre. Gets the 10 pin. Oh, let's see. Is there a 99? If she gets the spare, she'll have 100 through the third frame and 110 going into the fifth. She will miss the spare. So she has a 99 and a 108 with an open going into the fifth. Roberts for an 84, a chance to jump in the lead here, working on a strike. And she leaves the 7 pin. She's got the spare. So, gives her a 94 through 3, 104. If she gets 5 pins in this first ball, she'll be in the lead. She gets 9 pins. So through the fourth, she has a 113 to a 108, and she has a 122 with a chance for a spare in the fifth. she spares. So Roberts has taken over the lead. LaFave didn't grab the lead till her last ball in her game against Friend. Friend led through the entire 3 games that she bowled. She led through the entire 3 games except for the last ball that LaFave threw. That won it for her. So Roberts jumping into the lead here in the 5th frame is the earliest that we've had a lead change. There's LaFave going for her spare. She should have it. She does. Needs to mark to stay close to Roberts. 123 right now to 118. Both of them working on a spare going into the 6th frame. So Roberts with a 5-pin lead going into the 6th. Here's LaFave's first ball in the 6th frame, and she will leave the 4-7. Up the spare. Needs to keep marking. She picks up a couple of marks. Gives her a 136 through 6 with a spare. Roberts has a 123. Picks off 4 pins. So she needs to spare here to retain her lead. And she will not spare. Gets 9 pins for the frame. Gives her 136 through 6. An even score with LaFave, but LaFave has a spare. So Roberts needs to mark here to a strike in the 7th. LaFave has to at least mark here in the 7th to keep pace with Roberts. This one could go down to the last ball too. She gets 6 pins. There are 142 through 6. 6 pins, obviously. Better than Roberts. Needs to spare here. Roberts has a 146 in the 7th. Working on a strike. Needs to spare here, and she will not spare. Will not spare. Gives her a 149 through the 7th. 3 pins better than Roberts, but Roberts has a strike. Now I have to reset some pins. Pins have been reset. Now LaFave will bowl in the 8th frame. Needs to mark. Strike would be very handy. Use the 4-7. She has a 157 with a ball to go here in the 8th. A 149. This 3-pin lead. And Roberts working on a strike through the 7th. Needs to spare. No, she doesn't. Puts Roberts in the driver's seat here. Roberts can all but clinch it here with a couple of good frames. She has a 146 in the 7th, and she'll add her next 2 balls to that total with the strike. So she'll add 10. Gives her a 166 in the 8th. A strike here, another strike would give her a 166 through the 7th. She strikes a triple. First triple of the day. And that all but clinches it if it hasn't clinched it. So it gives her a 196 for the triple. LaFave gets 9 pins. Any hope she had is done. She can still get ahead of Roberts here, but not realistic that she will win this one. But she can spare here, then strike out. She could still be ahead of Roberts. So it gives her a 168. She can still pick up another 40 pins, give her a 208. But that's the best she can do, and that's only 12 pins ahead of Roberts, who's working on a triple. So if Roberts knocks down 5 pins, she would win it on her first ball. But LaFave will not strike out, and Roberts will not have to bowl her final ball to win this one, but I assume she will. Now, it's just a coincidence that Bina Roberts' brother John owns the Bowl Mart. There's a spare for LaFave. Gives her a 185. Roberts has a 196. So 6 pins here would give her 191, and then 7 pins gives her a 192. 140 scratch. Roberts has won it. She has a 196 before she even throws her first ball in the 10th. So Bina Roberts will be the 2004 Queen of the Hill.
There you go, baby!
Mommy!
It's 9 pins. And she'll spare. You get one more ball. 215 through the 9th. 225. There's a 189 scratch plus this ball. 199 scratch. And a 235 for the game. So Bina Roberts is the 2004 Queen of the Hill. So I guess they're not going to have any formal presentation. Bina Roberts, the Queen of the Hill. Let's see, Women's High Series. Let's see if she's on the, there she is. So she is. Missy Harriman has a 266 high game this year. Bina has a 245, 258. Kathy Young, 255, 257, 244. Teresa Bosley at 246. And Myrtle Hawksby, 241. Those are the high games. I-Series, let's see. Kathy Young, 682, 642, 632. Missy Harriman, 669. Bina Roberts, 608, 628. Teresa Mosley, 614. Sue Quilliam, 611. Lori Dumas, 604. Congratulations to Bina Roberts, 2004 Queen of the Hill at the Bowl Mart.